Welcome everyone. This is Michael from the Marks Group Live. Happy to be presenting this class on CRM Basics, The Lead. The Lead, it's where it all starts. After this video is over, please feel free to email us at support@marksgrouplive.com for any questions on this topic or on anything else Zoho. Also, be sure to rate this class as well, helping out your fellow Zoho users and helping us to improve your video library. Now, for a lot of businesses, the lead is where a sale starts. So we're going to take a quick little dive into the Zoho Leads module right now. In today's class, this is what we're going to be covering. We're going to be looking at the context of the Leads module relative to the accounts, contacts, and deals. We are going to find the Leads module, and we're going to create a new lead. We're going to set some of the most important fields in a lead. We're going to take a quick look into how to work your leads, and we're going to convert a lead into a contact and an account. There's a lot of stuff in this short lesson, but don't worry, it'll all make sense when we're done. Right now, I'd like to focus on, a quick reminder, if you have questions, please do send an email to support@marksgrouplive.com, and there we go. Let's look at the relationship between leads, accounts, and contacts. A lead and an organization. A lead is generally regarded as a person who works for an organization, and whether it's at a trade show, whether it's somebody has called into the office, whether we've met somebody by chance, we've said hello. Now, when we take that to the next level, as they say, when we say, let's make a deal, when we decide that, or when the client decides that they would like to purchase a product or a service from us, that's called conversion. And that results in two things happening. The lead, the person, becomes a contact, and the account is the organization. So the account is the organization, the contact is the lead, or the lead becomes the contact. That's the relationship. This is why for a lot of CRM systems, business starts with the lead. And in fact, in one of my own business ventures, that's exactly what happens. We go to trade shows and we collect names and contact information from people who express an interest in our product. And we put those into our CRM, which happens to be Zoho, and we make phone calls based on those leads. And we try to convert those leads into contacts and accounts. So let's see what we can do with leads. Let's see what we can do with leads in Zoho. Let me grab the right mouse here. All right. So this is our Zoho home screen. Now, in most cases, in most versions of Zoho, you'll find it up in the Zoho control bar. Your color may be different from mine. And you'll usually find it immediately to the right of the home button in the top left or upper left corner of your screen. If you don't see the Leads tab available there, you might have to look for it under the ellipsis that says, there's more here. So if it's in here, you can either read down through this list, or we can type the first few letters. And the reason it doesn't find the module in that list is because it's already up there. So let's go there. Great. Now that I'm in the Leads module, I'm going to create a new lead by clicking in one of two places. I can either click on the upper right side of the screen in this, just to the left of the word import. I can click on that button. That will create a new lead. Or up in the Zoho control bar, the plus sign lets me create a new one of anything. And Leads is up at the top there. So either of those two places I can use to create a lead. So here we are. Depending on how your Zoho instance is set up, you may see that some of the fields have a red highlight beside them. For example, here, company and last name have a red highlight beside them. That means that those particular fields are required. You can't not have something there. I recommend that you complete a whole lot more, of course, than just those required fields. So here are some of the fields that I think you might be possibly inclined to overlook, but there are fields that will make a huge difference to how well you can use your CRM to drive your business. Actually, I'm going to create some information here. mf-cd dot inc, and I'll say that the first name is George and last name is Georgeson. Now I'm going to skip a lot of these fields. Of course, the email is important. At mfcdinc.com. The lead source is important. Of course, all of these fields, many of these fields are important. Anything that involves contacting the person, if you don't have a phone number, a mobile, or a fax, or an email account, it will be considerably more difficult to get in touch with the person. But I'm focusing on unexpected or perhaps more subtle things that really should be there and why they should be there. The lead source is what you might need if a few weeks after you've met George Georgeson, you return to his record only to realize that you don't remember exactly where you met him or under what conditions. Who is this guy? I can honestly say with some shame and embarrassment that in my own use of CRMs for one of my own organizations that I work with, this happens more often than I wish it did. At the moment, you're thinking, I couldn't possibly forget anything about George, such a cool person. And 3 weeks later, you've met another 500 people since then, and you have no recollection of George whatsoever. So this is why putting in the lead source can be useful. This is a pick list, which means that if you have administrative privileges in Zoho, you can actually go in and make those either add items or subtract items from this list. For example, trade show may be a very general term. If you're going to a dozen trade shows per year, you may actually want to specify which trade show that was, and so on. That's a helpful field to have. Lead status is useful because it says this is where I left things with this lead last. And we'll get back to the lead status in a few minutes. Lead follow-up date, that's a really good one also, because that's a way of helping make sure that your leads don't get stale. You know, the point at which you're calling stops being a welcome follow-up to another communication and starts being a bit weird, or who are you? Why are you calling me out of the blue? Now this is a bit important. Let's see, scroll down. Depending on how your Zoho instance is set up, you may have a lot of information down below here or not all that much. If I click save, interesting thing happens. I get this screen, but now down below description, I have score summary, visit summary, I have notes. I can attach documents. I can specify products that are related to George Georgeson, and we have activities. A lot of more fields to enter. Now, if we only want to add information or change information in one field, I can hover over the field and I can click on the pencil beside that field and enter information directly. Or, and then click on the green check mark to confirm my change. Or if I want to make a larger number of changes, I can click on edit. And when I've finished editing, I can click on save again. Now, one of the most important fields here again is the notes field, where you can write down as much as you can remember about the lead and why you added that person to your CRM in the first place. As a general rule, the more details we have here, the better. This is where you make note of the fact that George Georgeson sails toy boats for a living and is the CEO of a company worth $100 million. And his favorite color is periwinkle. The reason you put this stuff in is because all the information that you can throw into here becomes more information for you to use when you are chatting with George Georgeson. So it seems that you have an excellent memory and you can connect with George all the better when you speak with him. You do not want to be in the position where you're calling a lead and saying, yes, we spoke, but I don't actually remember anything that we said. So the more information you can put in here, the better. The last thing that you ought to look at when you create a new lead is the open activities area. This is where you can schedule a task, an event, or a call to follow up with this lead. In my experience, omitting that follow-up is a pretty reliable way to lose the lead. Scheduling a follow-up immediately when you create a lead means you'll be far better prepared when you make that call or set up the meeting. And being better prepared means that you have a better chance of making a deal. In fact, Zoho does make it possible for you to automate a follow-up task. So it's automatically, so you automatically get a new task created to follow up with the lead as soon as you've created the lead. And that follow-up activity can be set for any specific time. Next up, actually, let me go here for a moment. Let's see what we've accomplished so far. So we've got through that. We've got through that. We've looked at that. Okay. Let's talk a moment about how to work your leads. Let me go back to all of them here. Let's say that you have a bunch of leads in your CRM. We have a total of 32. You can see that down in the lower left corner here. And I will show all records, or I'll show all 100 per page. So what is the point of having a lead? Well, it's a name. It's a person with whom you want to do business. And unless they contact you, which is a happy thing usually, you're going to have to reach out to them in some way. And usually that reach out takes the form of a phone call, an email, or a meeting. And in rare cases, it might even involve reaching out through social media. If you have more than one lead, how do you know which one to do first? You need to prioritize them somehow. Now, Zoho actually allows you to score your leads based on a number of factors, including annual revenue, number of employees, address, city, state, town, or nearly any other parameter. And we do cover that in another lesson. At the top left corner here, though, Zoho tells me that I'm looking at my leads. I can look at all leads. So if I refine that list, if I look at only my leads, that's a start. These are the leads that have been assigned to me. Now in this table, I can sort any of these columns by clicking on it. So let's say I want to click on lead status from in ascending order. That's alphabetical order ascending. I can rearrange these columns again by clicking on the Add Columns button. We do cover that, as I said, in another lesson on Zoho, the Zoho interface and Zoho views. Right now, I've arranged my leads by lead status, and that's in alphabetical order. When I see that I have here, I can see that I have contacted, attempted to contact. Oh, there are leads not contacted. In fact, I could actually specify find leads that I've not contacted and make that a view. Or I can just read through my list if I don't have thousands and thousands of them in here. I can click on each one of these leads and schedule an activity, or I could simply call them and then set the lead status to show that I've done that. So let's go to Suzanne Kirkland. There's a lead. And as I scroll through this, I don't have any notes. There's an attachment, but there's no task. Oh, there was an activity on February 17th. That task was completed. I can create a new task or create a new call. We, of course, have a lesson on this, on activities in Zoho. So if I've called this, let's say that I've finished my call to Ms. Kirkland, I can go up to the lead status. Oh, and actually on this one, I can't change it because we've set up a workflow for this. Let's see if I've got another one. Actually, let me go to, where was my new lead? Let me find my new lead. There's George Georgeson. There is no lead status. So there's George. I'm going to set George's lead status to attempted to contact and click check mark there. So remember, a lead exists for the sole purpose of becoming contact. That is, somebody with whom you've made a deal. As you work your contacts, you can go through the list, your list of all contacts, or sorry, you can go through your list of all leads and choose how you want to go through them. But the objective with the lead is to contact the lead and to engage that lead in a communication that eventually leads, communication or other activities that eventually lead to a deal. You don't want to have a lot of leads that sit there for a long time, because that means that a long time is passing between the time that you first encountered that person and the time that you engage that person in a business transaction. There's no need to accumulate a large number of leads if you're not processing them in a timely manner, or else you're wasting the time of the business development folks who are going out and collecting those leads in the first place. So finally today, let's look at what we have to do when we begin working on a deal with a lead. Turning a lead into a deal is called converting a lead. And here's what happens. I'm going to go back to George Georgeson. When George Georgeson signals that they're ready to start talking about a purchase of goods or services from us, here's what you do. You select the record of that lead, in this case George Georgeson. In the upper right corner, there's a button that says Convert. Click on this, and don't worry, there's time to change your mind. You can still cancel and decide, no, I'm not ready to try to convert George Georgeson from a lead into a contact and an account. But let's say that we are ready to do this. Zoho tells me that it will create a new account for the company, for the organization that George Georgeson works for, and create a new contact for George Georgeson. Zoho also gives me the option of creating a deal right away. That is beyond the scope of this lesson, but let's take a quick look at this. I click on the checkbox for create a new deal for this account, and I can see that I'm prompted for the layout, which is usually standard. We, of course, have a lesson on that. The name of the deal, the closing date, and the stage are all necessary fields to fill in there. For now, I'm going to close that. I'm going to say I don't want to create a new deal for this account at this time. And finally, down here, I can set the owner of the new record. And this gives me a pop-up list of users. This could be useful in situations where you have one set of people who work on generating leads and another set of people that's responsible for making deals. I can pick any member of my organization as the owner of the new contact. I'm going to leave it as TMG Live Admin, and I'm going to click Convert. Zoho tells me that it has successfully converted George Georgeson using George Georgeson's organization to create an account, and has converted George into a contact. Now, what we can do is let's go back and see if we can find George in leads. We can look for George by going through the name. Allison, Carissa, Penny. Oh, that's the surname, I'm guessing. But I still don't see Georgeson here. I can say, let's search for all names beginning with the letter G, and we're not finding those. So finally, let me look for Georgeson. There's Georgeson. And Zoho tells me George has been converted into a contact. So here's Georgeson. There's George. What module are we in? We're in the contacts module. Let me look at all my contacts and see if George is there. There's George. And we did not find George in the leads. So let's recap what we did today. Let's go here and here. Today we looked at how the leads module relates to the contacts, accounts, and deals modules. We discovered how to find the leads module, and we looked at how to create a new lead. We set some of the most important parameters of a lead. We took a first look at how you might want to work your leads, and we converted a lead to a contact and an account. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out our video library for other training videos like this one. And if you have any suggestions for other classes or for questions that you may have about Zoho, email us at support@marksgrouplive.com. Thank you for watching.